Are you looking for better shooting experience? How about a facility where you can shoot all of your firearms in the same day, where you can move and shoot steel, draw from the holster, and practice your rifle work out to 600 yards? Shoot a very challenging sporting clays course or a round of trap or skeet. You can do all that and much more at the Aurora Sportsman's Club. Hi, I'm David Lombardo, president of the Aurora Sportsman's Club. If you love the outdoors, you'll want to know all about Northern Illinois' largest outdoor shooting facility, the Aurora Sportsman's Club. If you're a novice looking for a basic course, an experienced shooter looking for an advanced course, or perhaps you want to participate in your favorite shooting event, or just spend an enjoyable day with a family, the Aurora Sportsman's Club is the only shooting facility in the region that offers all that and more. Interested? Then you won't want to miss the next orientation and tour of the Aurora Sportsman's Club. Call, email, or visit our website today to find out how you can become part of a better shooting experience at the Aurora Sportsman's Club in Waterman, Illinois.
Key is the human Molotov cocktail that they can legally throw into the system that stole their lives from them.
So we're going to create a new government that serves you, your family, and your country.
It's time for On Target Radio, Chicagoland's only radio show dedicated to the red meat issues that affect your life, from gun control to freedom of speech. Now, debating, debunking, and discussing today's hot issues, here are your hosts, David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz.
Welcome to On Target Radio. Tonight, David's rant of the week is, let's do a survey to decide if our Second Amendment rights are okay, with David and Gretchen taking a look at a positive shift in the public perception of gun control. Next, we'll take a look at good news and bad for the White House. And finally, is the National Football League starting to tank? All that and more on tonight's On Target Radio. So give us a call at 815-205-1584. That's 815-205-1584. Or go to Facebook, like our page, On Target Radio, and ask a question or make a comment there.
Thank God the Wall Street Journal and NBC News have agreed that among John Q. public, the sentiment is growing, and in fact, in the majority, for gun rights. It's reassuring that the capitalist and the socialist bastions have weighed in and are in agreement. If that doesn't make sense to you, stop listening and switch back to the Food Channel. A survey conducted by the two organizations questioned 1,200 people and measured America's opinion of a wide assortment of issues, including gun rights versus gun control. I read the results of the poll with mixed emotions. On the one hand, the results should serve to bolster the position of gun rights advocates and prompt bouts of anxiety among anti-gun activists and politicians. There were a number of questions about gun rights, such as the pick one response to these two options. Statement A: the government will go too far in restricting the rights of citizens to own guns. Statement B: the government will not do enough to regulate access to firearms. When asked the same question in 1995, the survey showed 58 versus 35% of the respondents were more concerned about insufficient gun control laws. The recent poll indicated 50% were more concerned with government overreach, while 45% were more concerned that the government would do too little. Perhaps the most salient point was measuring how much the gun issue affected the voter in the polling booth. The survey listed a number of current issues such as foreign policy, national defense, the economy, and, of course, gun control. Of these issues, which one or two, if any, are important enough for you to have an impact on how you vote in an election? The survey asked. 35% said gun rights or gun control had an impact on their voting behavior. It was the highest rated answers, coming in well ahead of the environment, immigration, abortion, drug use, religion, gender equality, and gay rights. One other question of note asked if anyone in the household owned a gun. 48% responded yes. In a 1999 poll, 44% said yes. In 2011, it dropped to 39% and rose to 42% in 2015. Overall, the responses indicated a significant positive shift in public opinion with respect to gun control. Liberals, ignoring the facts, continue to claim gun ownership is on the decline, and increasing majority of Americans simply want more, quote, common sense, unquote, gun control. Common sense gun control is a liberal euphemism for turn them all in or we'll crash through your front door, shoot your dog, and confiscate them all. I swear, somewhere there is a tattered, shabby paperback book called How Al Gore Invented the Internet, a comprehensive compendium of liberal alternate universe crap. I said at the beginning that I read the results with mixed emotions. I was lifted by the results, but a bit nettled that we are still asking anyone's opinion as to whether or not we should be allowed to exercise our most basic constitutional rights. I mean, why stop with surveys about the Second Amendment? Why not a poll on the Fourth Amendment, for instance? Which statement best describes your feelings about search and seizure? Statement A. Citizens have a right to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures. Statement B. Slav and unwashed, disgusting Antifa perverts should be strip searched if they're within 2 miles of any public gathering. Or perhaps the First Amendment. Which statement best describes your feelings about freedom of the press? Statement A. Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of the press. Statement B. Liberal mainstream press outlets should be burned to the ground, and liberal hacks should be strung up by their naughty bits in a public square. I mean, seriously, should we be conducting polls like that? Come to think of it, yeah. And that, Gretchen, is my rant for the week. I think we should have polls like that.
I like naughty bits.
Naughty bits. Well, you know, originally it was not written naughty bits.
Okay.
Well, you know, when I write stream of consciousness.
Sure.
And then when I go back and read it, I probably should write a stream of unconsciousness. It's, I don't know. Anyway, you know, it's always sort of just bothered me that why is it the Second Amendment? I mean, we know the answer because it's liberal trash.
Right.
They just want to disarm everybody. But you know, if you apply the same thing.
The reason it's the Second Amendment is because of the rules for radicals. It's on the agenda. It's one of the points of the agenda is that you have to take the guns away in order to be able to
subjugate.
Right, in order to be able to make this a socialist country. That is one of the things that they have to accomplish, and they've never been able to do it. Thank God.
They've had a problem with that.
Yeah, it's one of the items on the agenda that they've just really not made any headway on in the last 8 years were the workers.
Well, and for a long time after Clinton, after that enactment, when they gutted Congress, got to be 10, 15 years, it became a third rail subject.
Right.
And then it started coming back again. And I wouldn't go so far as to say that Hillary Clinton lost the election because of that, but it certainly helped.
I was going to say, it did not help her at all.
Yeah, it certainly helped her lose that election.
I would not spend a dime on her book
No.
on what happened,
Yeah.
but I wonder if there's a chapter, or even part of a chapter dedicated to gun control.
I was reading a sort of a review of it. And yeah, I mean, she's doubling down. She continues to blame everybody and everything except her. Did you see, or maybe you put it on Facebook, Judge Jeanine Pirro's name? Did you put that up?
Yeah, that was
You know,
people don't like you.
I find her somewhat annoying, but I always agree with her, though. It's just the way she talks I find annoying.
Sometimes her delivery is a little abrasive,
Yeah.
but she tends to be correct.
It was pretty funny. It really was. But it was true. I mean,
And it was long, too. I mean, it wasn't...
She just pounded away.
That was sort of the hook, but that was not all there was. It was good. It was really good.
It's but it is true. I saw an interview with Hillary. I can't remember whose show it was. It was on the net, and she has a long list of things that caused her to lose the presidency, none of which have anything to do with her personally. I don't think, I think she thinks she's going to run again, but I can't even remotely picture the Democratic Party supporting her.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, they're not that stupid.
I don't know.
Well, Pelosi is, but aside from that, it's and Maxine Waters. Okay, maybe they are stupid. Now that I go down the list, I start thinking recently. Yeah, well, maybe they would.
We've got Al Franken and.
But they're already prepping candidates.
Shirley Lee Jackson.
Please, you're beginning to depress me. They're already prepping candidates. I mean, there's people. Well, there's the mayor of Detroit. Have you read about him?
No.
He's Muslim.
Really?
Oh yeah. And he's this young.
Thinks he's gonna run.
I'm gonna tell you, and I'm not saying this jokingly. He's like Barack Obama was. He literally is. You remember when, which was terribly racist, but I don't think
what Joe Biden said about him.
What Joe Biden said about him, being
he's clean and good looking.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't remember exactly what he said. Did he say non-threatening? I think he said non-threatening.
If a Republican had made that statement,
oh, MG, yeah,
they would have come unhinged.
When Joe Biden said that, I was like,
I couldn't believe that he said it.
I couldn't either. I mean, and especially, it's so funny, I think even before he was the vice president, he was always like Uncle Joe. I mean, he never, no matter what insane, inane, retarded thing he ever did, he always got a pass.
Well, he knew how to fix people up with women, I think. He has such a way with women. I just...
way with women. That's a euphemism, in case you're not aware.
Somebody put together a compilation of Joe Biden and women.
Yeah, it's on our On Target Radio Facebook page. If you scroll back a few months, you can find...
Oh, it's more than months.
You can find, the videos of Creepy Joe.
But it's just one continuous thing of him. Young girls, little girls, it doesn't matter.
Married women, their husbands are standing right freaking there.
He's got his hands on their shoulders and then petting them.
Yeah, and he's whispering in their ears during official ceremonies and crap. I mean, it's amazing. Not in a good way.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you know what? If he ran for president, he'd probably get it. Every guy in an adult bookstore would go out and vote for him. We'll get back. We're going to talk a little bit about Speaker Ryan. Speaker Ryan may be in trouble.
He's got it covered.
Yeah. We'll come back with more on Target Radio.
That was funny. I looked away at the wrong button.
Safer USA, Chicago's most trusted name in firearm training, is offering beginners classes, tactical pistol and rifle, long-range rifle to 600 yards, and the most comprehensive Illinois concealed carry program available. The On Target Radio co-hosts David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz will prepare you to carry a firearm for personal protection, including firearm, holster, and ammunition selection. A comprehensive law review designed to keep you out of trouble and even how to deal with home invasions. Firearm, ammunition, holster, class notebook, and lunch are provided. Safer USA and the Aurora Sportsman's Club invite you to participate in this one-of-a-kind Illinois concealed carry program that also qualifies you for Florida, Utah, and Arizona non-resident permits. Find out what over 6,000 students already know at saferusa.com.
Or call 815-741-3474. That's 815-741-3474. Safer USA. Choosing to own a firearm is your business. Teaching you to own it responsibly is ours.
Do you dread writing? Is it challenging to find just the right words to get your point across? Do you put off developing marketing materials because you just don't know where to start? You get one chance to make a first impression, and my editor, Creative Business Services, can help make it a strong, positive one. Hi, this is Gretchen Fritz, co-host of On Target Radio, and I'd like to tell you about My Editor, a business I started to help you overcome those concerns. What you're experiencing is very common. My Editor has helped business owners, candidates for political office, and even authors and public speakers. At My Editor Creative Business Services, we can simply edit your existing work or help you develop an entire writing plan of action from initial project design through final copy. We are easy to work with and will help you get your point across in the most effective manner. If words escape you, send me an email at myeditor@mail.com. Use My Editor Creative Business Services and go to print with confidence. That's My Editor at mail.com or find us on Facebook.
You're listening to On Target Radio with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
And we're back. We last night went to Fox Valley Friends of the NRA. Went to Fox Valley Friends of the NRA. It was good.
Yeah.
It
always is. They're a well-oiled machine.
They are. Yeah, they really are. Matt and Allison and the crew do a heck of a job.
Yeah, Glenn, Jay, and all of them.
Yeah.
They do a phenomenal job.
Sometimes it's the biggest in the
Eric
state.
was there at 8 o'clock in the freaking
I know.
morning.
I
It
know.
was a long day.
Unloading the truck. Yeah.
I
geez.
pulled up. I don't know, when did I get there? About 2:30, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
And he was sitting in his car in the parking lot. And he had said he was going to be there at 8 in the morning. And I pulled up right next to him, and I go, roll down the window, and I go, "You just get here?" And he goes, "I'm recharging my phone." So he did get there at 8, yeah. No, but it was good. And, I always like that particular venue because they got that really good steak dinner. And it's good food.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. But where else can you sit at a table, eat a steak dinner, and have $10,000 in cash in your pocket? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where else can you do that?
And it's kind of like having a nice dinner in a gun store.
Exactly. That's right.
Which you can't do either. So yeah, it's almost as many guns as a gun store. It's like a small gun store. And
there's 100. What, do you know how many were there?
Yeah, they said like 100.
Yeah, I don't know the exact number.
100 and something anyway. But more than I have even. It's
what?
I love doing that wall of guns. I really do. I made 10 grand. It's great.
You had the first one done within like the first 10 minutes. It was amazing. They
Yeah,
were like, "We're ready to do the first wall of guns." I'm like, "What?"
It got so hectic. People they added the thing, not only if you bought 3 tickets, you got a free extra ticket for an additional drawing composed of only people who bought 3 at a time or more.
Okay.
And so that was like people over the, give me 3, I want 2 more, give me 1 more. Yeah. It was good though, but yeah, it makes a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of money. And it's a good cause because the money goes to educational programs and stuff. And half of the money goes to national, and half stays within the state. And then you can apply for grants. I've gotten many of them.
It actually stays in northern Illinois too. It's not even the state.
Illinois is big enough that they've split it in half.
Yeah.
Mike Huber is the NRA guy in the north half, and I don't know the guy in the south half, but it's real good. And out at Aurora Sportsman's Club, we've gotten a lot of stuff from it. Safer USA.
I was going to say Safer USA.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of stuff.
Actually, I think that I was recommending you write a grant to support the hearing impaired class because our guns are really aging and we need to switch to those other guns you have, but we need extra magazines.
I didn't do that. Well, and
it's
problem.
It's not time yet, is it?
Oh yeah, it was September 1st, I think.
Oh.
But I went and looked that up. They don't make that gun anymore.
Oh.
So you know how much a magazine is now for that?
$50.
Yeah, about $50, $60. That's right. It's about $50, $60. Yeah. For a 22 caliber mag.
Yeah.
I don't know. That segues right into reciprocity.
Sort of.
Somehow. It's about a gun.
If you really looked, you could find it.
Yeah, it's about a gun.
I'm sure you could turn that.
This will come as a shock to many people, but apparently Speaker Ryan is dragging his feet on this thing.
Yeah, he's telling Massey, what's Massey's name?
Massey.
Representative Thomas Massey is, I don't know where he's from, but he is like one of the main sponsors of the House Resolution 38, which is national reciprocity, and apparently Ryan told him directly. He said the speaker told me he didn't think the timing was right.
Let me see. We have the presidency.
Yeah.
We have the House. We have the Senate. Not that it's going to matter, but we have most of the governorships, most of the state legislatures. Precisely why is the time not right?
And there's 80 co-sponsors on the bill.
And then there's that.
That's like a fourth of the House.
Yeah. But the time's not right.
Right, yeah. It's totally nonsensical. And I definitely am seeing on social media, I'm seeing a growing dissatisfaction with Paul Ryan.
Speaker.
Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, yeah.
We thought that he was going to be different, and it turns out he's
I never particularly cared for him.
No better than Boehner.
I never particularly cared for him because he said, this is what really did it. Because I never even heard of him really until he got close to becoming Speaker. But he was acting like he was doing people a favor. You remember this?
Oh yeah.
He said,
he goes, well, if you don't support me, then I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, if you really want to, but everybody has to support me. I'm like, pound sand.
Yeah.
That really turned me off big time. I think he's kind of an arrogant jerk.
Yeah, this article is from AmmoLand, and it says, and this is kind of what we were talking about. It says, yet time after time, on guns, on Obamacare, immigration, any real change, Ryan and McConnell look like they're taking positions directly contrary to why a critical mass of Americans got tired of standard Republican excuse-making and voted for Donald Trump. And I think that really gets at the heart of the matter.
I think you're right. Because they're business as usual.
Yes.
That's what they are.
But not even that. But I mean, like, anything that, like we're saying, it's like, okay, we have control of everything. People want you to do this. Why are you unwilling to do it?
Because they want him to fail. It's business as usual. The one thing about Trump...
It doesn't make sense.
...that I liked from the beginning...
It has nothing to do, like, any of these things. I mean, well, okay,
sure
Obamacare, but reciprocity has nothing to do with Trump.
But that
was something that was cooking before we ever elected him.
It does, because it's his administration.
Yeah.
And so look at what the press says. He hasn't accomplished anything. They ignore that he keeps running out of ink with his pen, right? They ignore that. And he himself has said, you know what? If the Congress won't work with me, I'll just sign executive orders. That's what the last president did.
Right.
I'll do it too, which he's been doing.
Democrats were fine with it, right?
Exactly. That's what he's been doing. He's been saying anything that he can sign, he signs. But these people have a vested interest for the status quo. That's literally what they have, a vested interest. And
it still doesn't make any sense to me.
Let me tell you, 8 years of Donald Trump would be disastrous for those people.
It doesn't.
They'll
make
do.
any sense
I think they're colluding.
I think 9 months of Donald Trump is disastrous for them because it exposes them as frauds.
Yeah.
It exposes them for the frauds that they are.
The problem is they still have control. They can do what they want. The president can only. I mean, he can veto. But
and he can call him in his office, and I mean, there's certain tactics that he can employ. But yeah, I mean, if you want a law, you have to rely on Congress. What this makes me think of, though, what he's saying here, I just saw a minute this morning of Meet the Press with Chuck Todd, who is
Meet the Depressed,
almost as far left as you can get, and still be like a journalist. But so they've come up with this thing now, and they've been talking about this for a while, and I watch NBC quite a bit. I watch the Today Show and stuff like that, and they've been talking about this for a while, of they're polling people who claim to be Republicans, and it's not lining up with what Trump's doing. So they've come up with a new category. It's not, they've got Democrats, they did a poll, they've got Democrats, they've got Republicans, and then they've got what they call the true Trump voters, which are these hidden Trump supporters,
white supremacists,
that they can't quite figure out, they can't quite figure out why Trump won, and so NBC came up with this, but it made me chuckle. It really made me chuckle of like, they're so mystified by this whole thing, they had to come up with like a third category for the people who supported Trump. And maybe, I think a lot of those people are people who were not regular voters before. They were, they maybe were registered to vote, but they weren't consistent,
Yeah.
on voting. But it was also swing voters. It was also people who had supported Democrats in the past and got fed up and said, let's do something different. This guy's a businessman. He's got a different background than all these frickin' lawyers. Let's try something else. And it makes me chuckle that the hand wringing on NBC is such that they're like, okay, we have to figure out something to do with it.
Well, they have to get ahead of a story, or they can't validate their existence.
It doesn't fit the narrative,
and they're running so far behind on
which
the story.
makes me vomit in my mouth a little bit.
It's a little fur ball there, yeah. Like Rachel Maddow, oh my God, could we just send her back to the Bush League? Actually, that's pretty much getting to be the Bush League now. But these people are just.
That sounds like a lesbian joke.
Well, I didn't want to go that far, but I remember her saying, "No, you're awake. This is your life now." Remember that?
No, this is really happening.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah,
no, I don't.
Exactly. Yeah,
I make a point of not watching her.
Well, that was just on the internet. I mean,
Sure.
Everything. It didn't matter what the website was. Sports Car Club of America had Rachel Maddow saying that, but they as a group still don't get that people voted for Trump because he wasn't Hillary Clinton. They don't get that.
Right.
They still are blaming everything in the world. And look at that list they came up with. And it's just like every 2 days they switched it to another one. Oh, no, well, it was this. No, it was that. Nobody will just look at her except Judge Jeanine Pirro and go, "We don't like you." Just as plain as you could make it. We don't trust you.
People don't like you. Yeah, you like that thing I put.
Yes.
Go on a date with Bill Cosby. With Pee Wee Herman sitting behind me.
Yeah, and in some ways, it makes me happy that they still think that, because that means if they keep struggling by hanging on to that thing, they'll get slaughtered again.
I was going to say, it means that Trump might get a second chance.
That's exactly right. Let's run her again, prop her up, and push her out there.
It's like Weekend at Bernie's.
Actually, what is scary is if they hadn't have juked the election, Sanders would have won that primary. I think everyone pretty much accepts that would have happened.
Well, I don't know about that, but it would have been closer.
I think he would have, because nobody really liked Hillary Clinton. But a lot of people accepted her as the heir apparent.
You really think they were juking it that much?
Yes, I do. Against Sanders. Against Sanders, I do. I think they cut him off at the knees.
Interesting.
Yeah. And he appealed to a lot of people, which I found frightening.
He did.
Because he is a socialist.
Yeah, my hyper-liberal cousin was, her interpretation of it was that people appreciate his honesty, that, as you say.
And I would give him credit for honesty.
And pretty much anybody of any political stripe would have to say, yeah, he was honest. He said,
I think he was.
I'm a socialist.
I don't like what he said, but I do think I think he truly believed what he said.
Yeah, he was honest and said, yeah, I believe in socialism. I think we should have it.
Yeah, he's scary, but he was. I think he was honest.
Yeah.
Anyway, when we come, we're coming back with our last segment.
No, we have two more.
I don't even know where we are.
Well, it's only the bottom of the hour.
Okay, right. We're going to be back with more stuff in a little while. After these few messages, and then we'll be back with more on Target Radio.
Hi, I'm David Lombardo, co-host of On Target Radio, and I'd like to offer you a partnership opportunity. For over 4 years, On Target Radio covered the red meat issues that affect your life, from gun control to freedom of speech, on AM 560 The Answer. But a 1-minute commercial was $200, making it tough to find enough sponsors. So last November, we left AM 560 and began podcasting. There's a learning curve to podcasting, and we've worked through the kinks and would now like to make you an offer. You can have a 60-second audio or video commercial for as little as $25 a week. We can also offer fellow conservatives their own radio or video podcast for as little as $100 a week with equipment and technical personnel included. You provide the content and host, plus get 6 free minutes of commercial time you can sell yourself. If you'd like to be an On Target Radio sponsor or explore the possibility of having your own show, call me at 815-741-3474 and let's explore the possibilities together.
You're listening to On Target Radio with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
This segment is brought to you by the Will County Grassroots Division of the Illinois State Rifle Association. Join us at 7 p.m. this Wednesday night at the Silver Dollar Restaurant in Elwood, Illinois. Our guest speakers will be Joliet Mayor Bob Odeckrick. I screwed that one up. And Shanahan Village President Missy Mormon Schumacher. They will be discussing the role of local government and how you can have your voice heard. Can't make it to Elwood? The program will be broadcast live and archived for future viewing at youtube.com on Target Radio. Join us this Wednesday night at 7 p.m. at the Silver Dollar Restaurant in Elwood, Illinois.
Well, that means Oda Kirk won't be showing up.
Sorry, Oda Kirk, I will have it right.
Well, you know, what are you going to do? It's not like it's the first time something's not come out the way we thought, you know? But it should be interesting. I think it'll be interesting. Anyway, this thing about the gun control domestic violence bill, I have to say that did you ever go on domestic? Probably not. You never went on domestic violence, did you? Well, you had one on the highway, didn't you, once?
No, I thought we were going to, but it wasn't.
You know, domestic violence, I know you know this, is like the most dangerous call.
Yeah, no, I never had one. Thank God, no.
I honestly don't know what to think. So Pennsylvania wants to pass a law, domestic violence gun bill, which essentially says if you have a domestic violence charge, then they take your guns away from you. I'm not exactly sure how to feel about that. We have it here in Illinois, too.
Right, and that's what I was saying. I don't think anybody in Illinois is going to be riled up by this story because they're trying to make the Pennsylvania law the way the Illinois law already is.
Right, but I'm just in general talking about the subject because here's the problem. The problem with those things are somebody can go into court and you could be in Kuala Lumpur eating sushi on the seashore and they're taking out an OP against you. Mm-hmm. And it's legal. I just don't know why. I could say anything I want about you.
Is that what this one was, though? I think this one was something else.
But the whole thing, domestic violence, order protection, all that stuff, mm-hmm. You go in. If I go in, okay, so in the state of Illinois, the law says that you two are married or whatever, you're domestic partners, I don't care, and we get a 911 call. Mm-hmm. And so we show up. In the state of Illinois, if you're the battered one, you're not the one who presses charges.
Right.
I press charges as the cop.
Right.
Now, think about that for just a second. I have really no idea what went on except his story and your story.
Sure.
Okay? So
and the truth is somewhere in between.
The truth is somewhere in between. I see marks on you, and you claim it's from him. Mm-hmm. I don't really know that for a fact.
Sure.
I then arrest this guy and take him off, and he loses his guns. Mm-hmm. With an OP, it's even worse, because with an OP, you can go into court, and you can just say whatever you want, and the guy's not even there. It's what do they call it? Ex parte. Ex parte. It's ex parte. Mm-hmm. The guy won't even know it until he gets served.
Sure.
Now, I get the fact that if somebody is threatening a domestic partner's life, they probably shouldn't have a gun. But it just doesn't seem to be a lot of due process in there.
Due process is definitely left out of it.
That makes me nervous.
I'm not saying I'd like it. Please don't send me emails. I'm not saying that I think it's right what Illinois has. I'm just saying that this story about Pennsylvania, it says under current Pennsylvania law, people ordered to surrender guns can give them to a third party for safekeeping, and they have 60 days to do it. And in Illinois, there's no 60 days.
No.
It's ASAP.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I mean, I'm just saying people in Illinois whose rights are already infringed are not going to get up in arms about what Pennsylvania is trying to do.
Well, but
I'm just saying it's hard to care.
Yeah,
That's all I'm saying.
It wasn't that the story was about Pennsylvania. It's just the topic in general.
Sure.
And I certainly have no brilliant solution to how you solve that problem. I think it's a very complicated problem. And I'm not comfortable with it, but I also wasn't real comfortable. I don't know if I may have told you or not, but not far from here, we went into that house. Did I tell you that? So
you've told me a lot of stories.
Neighbors called it in, and just down on River Road here. Neighbors called it in, and we go there, and it's just a couple, and there's bags in the living room, suitcases. Mm-hmm. No, we're just getting ready to go catch a flight. There's no problem. Well, the neighbors called it, yelling and all that.
Okay.
And, you know, you look around, there's nobody in the house. There's
nothing's broken.
Right.
No
I mean,
marks on
what
anybody.
do you say? Right.
Yeah.
You know, you go, oh, I'm sorry. Okay. And we left. About maybe a month or two later, they got another call up there, except this time, I don't know what happened because I wasn't there, but it precipitated the deputy to take a look around. Mm-hmm. There were loaded guns under all the cushions of the furniture. The whole time we were in there, we were surrounded.
Sure.
With loaded guns, and the guy was a nutball, it turns out. Mm-hmm. So there is that delicate balancing act of protecting the public and cops and the partner against that. And I don't have an answer for that, but...
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like everything else. I mean, we can't prevent crime. I mean, law enforcement is law enforcement. It's not crime prevention, it's law enforcement. Generally, it happens after something bad has already happened.
We go clean up.
And right, I mean, people, I hate to say, but people in the general public don't have a firm grasp on that concept.
No.
And, you know, the whole, like, community-oriented policing and all those types of initiatives have tried to address that fact and tried to go more towards crime prevention. But, you know, the danger is that we go full Minority Report and you know, we're trying to basically look into people's psyches and determine, you know what, you're not right in the head, and so we're going to put you in jail preemptively because we know that in the future you're going to commit a crime.
And we've seen programs that are very close to trying to do that. There was that one where they talk about profiling. They don't use the word profiling, but they talk about these people.
You're talking about the gang members in Chicago.
Exactly.
Well, but that was a little more touchy-feely. I mean, yeah, they were like knocking on doors, and they were like, you know what? Statistics tell us that if you don't get out of the gang life that you're in, you're going to end up dead within so few days, 90 days or something like that.
And March 2nd, you're going to be dead.
I don't know how effective that was, but they were right. I mean, they did. The statistics showed that they ended up to be correct about it because, you know, 99.9% of those people did not get out of the gang life. That's the only life they know.
Where does the line cross, though? Where do the two curves, prevention versus intervention?
Well, and that's what we're trying to figure out. I mean, that's everything. I mean, that's the liberals want universal background checks.
Yeah.
And you know, they probably would be okay with the FBI, whoever's doing the background check, having access to our actual medical records so that they could see, right, so that they could see, okay, this person has either been diagnosed or treated for, or, you know, has shown signs of having a mental illness that could become violent and, you know, or whatever. And I mean, they're so off the rails. Liberals are so off the rails. They want to even prevent people from committing suicide with guns.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm sorry, you don't get to do that. That is not something that we are able to do in this country. And so, yeah, I mean, it's like, I think it's sad that sometimes people have to die, but people have to, I mean, everybody's going to die eventually.
I didn't put the article in the deck, but there was an article this week, and I don't recall where this is, but maybe Oregon, because they're kind of off the hinge. But you can sign up. You can intentionally sign up and give away your rights to purchase a gun for a specified period of time if you feel suicidal and you don't want to have the ability to go and buy a gun. I thought, how about you...
that is completely missing everything
Makes no sense.
that is inherent in mental illness.
Yeah.
There is no part of mental illness that goes, you know what, I think I'm going to do the right thing, and I'm going to go and make sure I don't kill myself. Yeah. That is not part of mental illness.
If you're going to commit suicide, you're going to commit suicide.
Or attempt it, yeah.
Yeah, well, attempt it. But, I mean, you're going to commit suicide. Not having a gun or having a gun is irrelevant. I know somebody who threw himself in front of a bus on a busy street. I mean, if you're going to die, you're going to die.
When I was in the police, they said sometimes they've had a couple of occasions where people would purposely dress in all black and walk out into traffic at night. Yeah, that was their method of committing suicide, was to walk into traffic, and on the tollway. And they said, as much as we don't like that, it happmes.
That is so narcissistic. That is so self-centered. That you would destroy another person's life.
Suicide typically it's the ultimate self-centered act, and depression causes self-centered behavior. I mean, when you're depressed, it feels like the whole world revolves around you, and no one cares. I mean, it's just...
That is, unfortunately, that is true. But the answer is not...
That's just the nature of it.
The answer is not to sign away your right to buy a gun. If you're going to kill yourself, you're going to do it with guns irrelevant.
And that's what I'm saying. It completely loses sight of the nature of being suicidal, of being depressed. It completely does not take any of that into account.
I don't know. Pithy subjects, and it's...
But actually, not a bad segue into the foster parent story.
Which I think we'll wait till we come back in segmente cuatro.
Okay.
You like that? A little Spanish there.
Yeah, it's probably not correct, but yeah, whatever.
But it's impressively wrong.
But you did it confidently. Go forth confidently. That's what we love.
I told you what my high school French teacher said. He said I had the best pronunciation of French of any student he ever had, and it was ironic because I had no idea what I was saying at all. None. I had not one word of French in my vocabulary. Yeah, it was, but yeah, I don't do well with languages. I'm still working on English,
Yes, I do know.
No, it's not punctuation now.
I am your editor. I know.
We're going to be back with more without a co-host here in a minute. We'll come back, and I do want to talk about foster parent rights, that story. So we're back with that and more when we return with more on Target Radio.
Safer USA, Chicago's most trusted name in firearm training, is offering beginners classes, tactical pistol and rifle, long-range rifle to 600 yards, and the most comprehensive Illinois concealed carry program available. The On Target Radio co-hosts David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz will prepare you to carry a firearm for personal protection, including firearm, holster, and ammunition selection. A comprehensive law review designed to keep you out of trouble and even how to deal with home invasions. Firearm, ammunition, holster, class notebook, and lunch are provided. Safer USA and the Aurora Sportsman's Club invite you to participate in this one-of-a-kind Illinois concealed carry program that also qualifies you for Florida, Utah, and Arizona non-resident permits. Find out what over 6,000 students already know at saferusa.com.
Or call 815-741-3474. That's 815-741-3474. Safer USA. Choosing to own a firearm is your business. Teaching you to own it responsibly is ours.
In need of a ride to O'Hare or Midway Airport? Well, look no further. The Yellow Checker Cab Company is the cab company for you. With the Yellow Checker Cab Company, you will always be greeted by a friendly face and arrive safely and on time for your flight. Start your trip off right by taking advantage of one of their limos, shuttle vans, cabs, or courtesy cars. And airport trips are not all they specialize in. This 24-hour cab service will pick you up anytime, any day, for any occasion. From bachelorette parties to school dances to just a night out with with friends. Yellow Checker Cab Company has the best rates in town. So sit back, relax, and leave the driving to the professionals. Once you experience their fast and affordable cab service, you'll be a customer for life. When it comes to cab companies, be sure to choose Yellow Checker Cab because you have the right to expect certain things from your cab company. For further information or to book your trip today, call 815-744-2900. That's 815-744-2900.
You're listening to On Target Radio with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life. Stand by. Here's Gretchen with your action items for the week.
The ISRA's annual Sighting In Day will be Saturday, October 7 from 9:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. at the ISRA Range in Bonfield. This event is open to the public and offers free parking. The cost is $10 per firearm and includes targets and patterning boards. It is recommended that you bring at least 25 rounds of ammo for each firearm. No ammunition will be available at the range. You may sight in your shotgun, rifle, pistol, muzzleloader, and bow. The following Safer USA classes are at our facility in Waterman. Saturday, September 23rd, long-range rifle taught by Ed Janka. Also, Saturday, September 23rd, NRA Range Safety Officer taught by David. Saturday, September 30th, NRA Pistol Instructor taught by David. Saturday and Sunday, October 7th and 8th, Illinois Concealed Carry 1. When seconds count, the police are only minutes away. That's why you should get Illinois Concealed Carry. This 16-hour class will be taught by David and Gretchen and meets the training requirements for Illinois Concealed Carry as well as Florida, Arizona, and Utah. Saturday and Sunday, November 4th and 5th, Illinois Concealed Carry 1 for the hearing impaired. This 16-hour class will be taught by David, Gretchen, and other instructors and will feature American Sign Language interpretation. To sign up for classes, go to saferusa.com and click on register.
I like the fact that they have the lawmaker in Michigan. Remember the grandfather that wanted to
grandparents.
What is it, adopt? I guess no, become their legal guardian.
Yeah, the state. This is the irony: is the state actually asked the grandparents to foster their own grandchildren because there's something wrong with one or both parents, but then they said, oh, but by the way, you don't have Second Amendment rights anymore if you do that.
Got to give up your guns.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the legislator actually has put in a proposed bill to prevent that from happening. So, and here's the thing, that's through the Department of Health and Human Services, right? Mm-hmm. So that's like an adoption or a ward, or, governorship, whatever you call it. How many parents, just parents with kids, have guns?
Right.
And, I mean, it doesn't make any sense at all.
And actually what occurred to me, like right when we were introducing this, is, if things actually worked right, like back when you were growing up,
last week?
Okay, back when people your age were growing up, society worked right still back in those days. And if there was a grandchild and their parents weren't, they were absent or they were doing drugs or whatever, the grandparents would just take them in.
Pick it up.
And the state wouldn't even be involved. The state wouldn't even know any of this. And
that's right. It's
like, why? Why does the state have to get involved in things like this they have no business being involved in? This is a family matter, grandparents taking over the duties of raising their grandchildren. I don't see why the state even needs to be involved.
It takes a village to raise a child.
I'm going to go vomit now.
Get a little fur ball back there? Yeah, I hear you. Another nice, just more almost of an announcement, but the SHARE Act, Sportsman Heritage and Recreational Enhancement Act, is up, and the House, it passed out of House committee. The important thing about the SHARE Act, historically it's been about hunting, fishing, that sort of stuff, but they've expanded it.
Yeah, this new one has a lot more in it.
specifically to protect gun owners.
Yeah.
And one of the things, they don't cite the case, but one of the things was the guy who passed through New York and had to get out of the airplane and took his rifle. He'd been on a hunting trip and they arrested him. It literally prevents that from happening.
Yeah, David Keene actually mentioned that in his talk on Thursday, and he was saying, I didn't realize this. In New York State, just because it's an affirmative defense, so you have to actually go to court to say I have the right to do interstate transportation of this firearm, and then I'm doing it correctly. But you have to go to court, and so New York State has arrested over 600 people.
For that type of thing?
For this exact thing.
Seriously?
Just federal interstate transportation. I didn't know that.
Neither did I.
I found that to be a horrifying revelation, but
and
definitely
yet, shouldn't that surprise us? Really?
Definitely learned a lot from his talk. And but yeah, so this SHARE Act is it's going to specifically say that it's going to protect Americans traveling interstate with lawfully owned firearms.
The other interesting thing is suppressors fall in that. They neatly tuck the suppressor bill in there, and to this day that still astounds me. And we've said this before, but in Europe you can buy them over the counter. In Europe, if you're going to go hunting, you are required to use most countries of Europe anyway. And here they're like, and there's essentially
illegal in a lot of states.
Yeah, and there's essentially no data whatsoever that even remotely supports that having suppressors has any negative or positive effect on crime.
Right.
I told you that I think that I got to shot a Sterling. I got to shoot a Sterling. Could you edit me as I speak here? Just hold up little cards.
I would love to.
Hold little cards up and go, no. Big red line.
I can't write that fast, unfortunately.
I pew-pewed a Sterling that Barry Trophy has bad arms. And I swear to you, it's a 9mm. And had a big can, big suppressor on it. I pulled the trigger, and I turned to Barry and I go, it didn't shoot. And he goes, yes, it did. And that's not an exaggeration. It's the honest to God truth. There's no recoil. There was no, of course I had hearing protection, but there was no sound, there was no recoil. I'm like, no way. And he goes, so he turns it on to auto, and it just goes, you can't, I mean, it doesn't climb, nothing. Yeah. It's, I want one. It's $4,500.
So this incarnation of the SHARE Act it contains a provision to eliminate the current $200 transfer tax and a federal approval process for suppressors that can take as long as a year. So
you notice it's okay to own one as long as you pay money.
At least, yeah. There's a funny thing about that. It's kind of like all the stuff in Chicago and Cook County.
Yeah. Although they're not legal in Illinois no matter what.
Right. I was going to say, this would only allow you to still have it in the states where you can have it. It wouldn't make it legal everywhere. So we still need the suppressor bill. It's just going to make it a little bit easier in the states that it's legal.
Couple of just, good one for the White House, bad one for the White House. Supreme Court sided with Trump on the travel ban on refugees. Remember that went through? Mm-hmm. Went through Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. Here's a real shocker, where they told him to go pound sand, and the Supreme Court came back and said, you know what, you pound sand. So
no, they're gonna hear the case in October.
Yeah, or
in the next session.
And what could be more common sense? The liberals are totally misrepresenting what this is going on here. And the ironic thing is, this list came from Obama.
Right.
This was under the Obama administration.
Yeah, this list pre-existed Trump.
And you've seen, I'm sure, the video that they've collected all of the liberals that said we had to close the borders and deport people, starting with Clinton and going forward.
I love it.
Oh, yeah, there's this long litany of people that have said that. And now that it's that it's
Bill
Trump.
Clinton said it, Obama said it.
Yep.
Yeah.
They all did.
It's classic.
Never
gets old.
Typical liberalism. So Supreme Court's going to hear that. So that'll be interesting. And it's actually a very few number of countries that ban applies to. There's only a handful.
Yeah, it's like 6 countries.
Yeah.
One thing I would like to go back just for a second on the SHARE Act is that it's heading to the House floor, and the NRA ILA is encouraging people to contact their representatives, their representatives in Congress, and encourage them to vote yes on H.R. 3668, which is the SHARE Act. So there you go.
The House agreed.
That is your to-do for tonight.
The downside is the White House took one for the Gipper. And this is probably not going to shock anybody, but the Northern District of Illinois ruled that you can't withhold funds from sanctuary cities. Northern is liberal to begin with, so you know that they're going to back Rahm Emanuel. But here's the interesting thing about that. After all this talk about, this is bad for people, which is a bunch of crap, at the very end, it points out casually Chicago would have lost $2.3 million in grant money.
But actually, if you their budget for whatever department was going to actually take that grant money, it's like less than 1%. I mean, it's really a drop in the bucket.
But it's just, it's who
for Rahm Emanuel, it's an opportunity to get in front of a microphone, be on television, and say how much he cares about immigrants. Okay, it's not about immigrants, it's about illegals.
Yeah.
It's about illegal immigrants. They conveniently leave that part out.
Did you see who's going to run against Rahm Emanuel?
No.
Oh. Just take a guess, just off the top of your head. Who would be the most unlikely person you would think of?
Unlikely? Oh, hell.
Well, maybe not. Maybe unlikely is a bad choice of words.
Jim Oberweis.
Probably is. Is there any office he hasn't run for?
That one.
Well, yeah.
that would be the list.
McCarthy.
Oh.
Superintendent of Police.
Well, you pronounced his name wrong, so I didn't know who you were talking about.
McCarthy.
You said McCarty the
That's
first time.
That's because I probably had too much single malt scotch.
That will be rich. Well, he would have to move back to Chicago in order to do that.
I found that very interesting. That
I can't. If you lost your job and you moved out of Illinois and Chicago, I can't imagine coming back.
Well, how much of it do you think is a grudge match?
Like 100%. Can we go higher than 100%? 110%. Yes, absolutely.
Probably true. Probably true. The last thing, I really wanted to get around to this because
you've got 2 minutes.
You know how much I don't like sports. The only thing that makes me feel warmer and fuzzier than the NFL is beginning to tank is that, not Marshall Fields, but Macy's is doing badly because they killed Marshall Field, right? Mm-hmm. So the NFL apparently had a dismal opening to the season with stadiums half full and the TV audience down. I'm sure they're coming up with a list of reasons, borrowing it from Hillary Clinton. But you know what? Baseball was the American sport.
Oh, okay,
that was the number one. That was all
right.
American.
Apple pie, Chevrolet.
God bless.
Yeah.
But that was the sort of warm and fuzzy side of America. Football was the American just kill them, just slaughter them. Yeah.
That's the side where we show our muscle.
Exactly. And
baseball is a gentleman's game.
Exactly. And that they, in such a relatively short, it's been a few years, have been able to run it into the ground. That's like the guy I used to know who went bankrupt with a beer distributorship in Milwaukee. How can you do that? It's not possible. You have to intentionally do it. You know what I'm saying? It's just, from what I've read.
I could make a case for that market being saturated. I'm just saying.
Well, maybe, but even still. Germans, which is mostly Milwaukee, are very heavily German. They put booze away like beer.
Oh, yeah.
Like crazy. Well, little schnapps, but...
oh yeah,
but apparently
I come from drinking, fighting people. Yeah.
Well, all Iowans are. Yeah.
No.
Apparently, the NFL's hurting, and you know what? I'm glad. I just don't. And I've said this many times. We're going to cut real quick here. I have no problem with those guys making as much money as they can get in a contract. That's capitalism.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
just act like it. Remember,
We don't want to hear you talk.
as nutty as Babe Ruth was and all the weird things Babe Ruth did, he portrayed a good face for the sport.
Yeah.
Well, we just ran out of time again, didn't we?
The music hasn't started yet. Read the close.
So, we'd like to thank you for taking the time to listen tonight, and we appreciate it if you tell your friends about On Target Radio.
We'd also like to thank our engineer, Eric Allen, and our sponsors, the Will County chapter of the Illinois State Rifle Association, Yellow Checker of Joliet, My Editor, Creative Business Services, the Aurora Sportsman's Club, and Safer USA.
He's shaking his head. I don't know what that's about. We hope you'll listen next week, and we'll present more Red Meat issues that affect your life.